Hello, this is Sherry Farfalia as my German friend. I decided I'd come on today, Mystical Empress, to catch up on the week's events with clients. Had kind of a magical week, an unexpected turn of events. So I wanted to talk about that briefly. I always say briefly, I end up on here 45, 55 minutes. Anyway, so last week when we were talking, I was talking about healing, spiritual healing, and I was talking about events that happened in my past with some wild animals. Well, yesterday I talked to a client that I did a clearing on last Saturday. I talked to him on this Saturday. He just wanted an Akashic record reading to talk about some things he had going on in his life. So anyway, I really wasn't even thinking about last week or the clearing or whatever, and he brought it up. And he had some issues with his leg because he had broken his foot, and I had seen congested energy in his leg. And then he had asthma, and he was just like, hey, is there something you can do for any of this? So I did what I always do. I work with the archangels and the Elohim, Holy Trinity, and went and called on healing energy for those parts. Forgot about it. Saturday he brought it up and he said, my leg feels so much better. And he said, my asthma, he said, it's not 100%, but when I get up in the morning, he said it's 90% better. So that was pretty good to hear. It's always nice to hear feedback from clients. I wrote some post on my Mystical Empress Facebook account about last week's clients. One post about this gentleman and another post about a lady that I did a clearing on, and I can't even remember at this point if I've already done a video about it, so excuse me if I've already talked about this. But this lady, she'd had anxiety really bad for most of her life. And when we went in to do the clearing, as I was giving her the prayer, the sinner's prayer, I don't call it the sinner's prayer, it's more salvation prayer to me, but it confesses your sins and takes you through acceptance of Christ, the covenant with Christ. And that's something I do when I go in to clear demons, because I've learned the hard way that demons will not stay gone if the person isn't protected by that covenant with Christ. So I take anybody that works with me knows we can do a clearing without it if they refuse. I've only had one guy refuse to do the prayer. But if they refuse, then I just, I'll do what I can to clear the demons, but I know they'll come back. I clear everything else, and I know that's going to stay done. But the demon part, I can't, no guarantees on them not coming back because they probably will. But anyway, this lady, as she was doing the prayer, I could psychically hear. I could hear a voice coming. It was like it was overlaying her voice. And it was a demonic voice, like it was mocking me as it was saying this prayer. And I just kept sitting there thinking, she's going to stop any minute and say, I cannot say this prayer. But she didn't. She went through. I thought we had everything gone. And that night I was washing dishes and the Holy Spirit said, you've got another demon on her. You didn't get all of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? Because I'm somebody who prides myself in doing a thorough job, an accurate, thorough job. And I was like, what could I have done? I prayed on it. And I was reminded of the biblical verse, and I don't know the numbers. It's in, I think it's in Matthew's, where Jesus said, why couldn't we cast these certain demons off? And Jesus said, with that type of demon, you have to pray and fast. So I fasted for 3 straight days, and on the 3rd day, we did the clearing, a mini clearing to catch that last demon. which was Pythos. It was the snake, the python demon. I even had a dream about it the night before her clearing. So it showed up. But the interesting thing about it was she had this guilt that she had been carrying around for 30, 40 years. She'd never told anybody. And it was something that caused her great anguish, great terror, great shame, guilt. And she confessed it. And I told her, I knew that that guilt had kept her in a space, didn't accept that Christ could forgive her because she couldn't forgive herself. And it had blocked the complete clearing the time before. So we talked about it, and I explained to her, that's what this whole crucifixion event was about, to shed every sin, past, present, and future, for every human being, not just you, not just me, for everybody. Christ has already forgiven you. It's time for you to let this go. And that time we did the clearing, she started weeping, and I could feel the shift in her energy, and I knew she was going to be okay. And after that, about a week after the clearing, she texted me and she said, I don't know who I am anymore. Because everything she was built on a false identity. And we stripped that in her clearing. So now I told her, I said, just pray on it, because God's going to teach you who you really are, not the lies. So anyway, skipping forward, I was sitting there yesterday really thinking about this woman, and I was crying just in gratitude that God has given me a gift to work with these people. Because as I said in one of these videos, that ever since I was a little girl, animals and people have always come to me when they're sick or they're dying. And I've always been like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I felt so helpless because I didn't have any clue what they wanted from me, what I could offer them. But it was a very frustrating and hopeless feeling, just stuck. And I prayed for a very long time of healing. Not me doing the healing, but God moving through me to do the healing. And really, all I am in any of these sessions is basically a tour guide. I'm with what's happening, and I'm directing the angels. The archangels are requesting the heavenly, the Elohim, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, whichever one pops out, that this is where that attention needs to go. I'm just guiding the energy to the things I witness. God gives me basically the witnessing, intuitive seeing, sensing, hearing, whatever it is. But it's like he shows me, and then I request the healing. And then the healing happens from the heavenly realms. So yesterday I was sitting there and I was just feeling so much gratitude for where my work has evolved. And I was thinking about all of those animals since I would say 8, 9 years old, that I can remember how long animals have been coming to me. Like I said, when they're sick, when they're dying, wild animals walk up to me in the forest, just walk up to me like I'm another animal or even a tree, I guess. But I was thinking about all those animals, and a lady called and she said, I need an emergency clearing. Well, it was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had just eaten some walnuts, and I'm thinking it's too late for me to do a clearing. I just ate, and because I always fast before I do a clearing, and I always do them in the morning when I have good energy, when I'm perked up, not tired at the end of the day. And she said, and I told her, I said, well, I've never done this before. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm willing to give it a shot, but I don't know. And I said, give me about 20 minutes to do my prayers and get myself ready, and then you can call me back. So I went and I sat down. I'm going to cry telling this. I really don't want to cry telling this, but I'm probably going to. And I just cried. And I cried. And I thanked God for giving me, finally, after all these years, it was like the pinnacle of my work yesterday. A dream that I've had since I was a little girl finally came true. And so I kind of had to pull myself together, because, I mean, you can't sit there just bawling trying to do healing work. So I got on the phone with her, and this girl was very talented at telepathy with these horses. I mean, she was carrying on a full conversation with them. And I said, since you're so good at this, why aren't you doing this yourself? She said, that's not my gift. It's not my gift. So, okay, well, we're about to find out if it's mine, because I don't know either. So she was in the stall, and all my work is over the phone. And I chuckle as people think, can you really do this work over the phone? And I'm thinking, okay, it's energy work. How's that going to change if I'm standing in front of you? It's not like I'm touching you. I'm not. So she was standing in the stall with this horse, beautiful horse, one of those white with like a dusting of gray on it. I don't know what that's called in horse, colors, but it was beautiful. It was a competition horse. I guess it was meant to be a competition horse. And the I don't know if it was the trainer or the person that worked with the horses. I don't know if that was a trainer or somebody who worked like with their health, veterinarian. I don't know who it was, but the person who handled the horse was also in the stall. And when I was preparing to do this work, I kept getting the word Pegasus, Pegasus, Pegasus. I'm like, okay, we'll see. We'll see what that's about. Because I try not to have any preconceived ideas about what I'm going to find. When people call, they're like, well, what do you see on me? What do you think? And I'm like, I'm not going to color my perceptions by telling you anything now. I'm going to go up there and let God reveal to me what's going on here. So when I got up there, the horse put his head on her phone. She said he was listening to me the whole time. And it was so funny, because I made the decision to do the whole session just like I would with a human, modifying parts wherever I had to. This point in a session where I put people in a little rowboat and I take them across the ocean, and I was like having to think really quick, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to put this horse on a barge, or am I going to walk him across a bridge? Very nice bridge. And that's what we did. We walked across the bridge. And when we got up to work with the Holy Trinity, and I called in this horse's Akashic records, I found out that the horse was a starseed Pegasus. Now, I don't know much about Pegasus. I collected unicorns when I was a little girl. I know more about unicorns than Pegasus. And so, I work with a lot of starseeds, but I haven't worked with a unicorn or Pegasus yet, not in this clearing work. So the owner told me, she said, I know something's going on with this family line of horses. and I just feel like you can help them. Just, let us know what you get. She told me that the colts from this line would impale themselves on fence posts for no apparent reason. Well, that was like, okay, there's something going on here. She told me that these horses were supposed to be competition horses, jumping or something. I don't know what horses do. I don't know any of that. I've seen them jump little, like, I don't, uh, little displays that are set up. They jump over them, and I know that that's a competition, but I don't know what any of that stuff's called. So she said, that's what these horses were for, but they've had so many problems getting these horses to actually perform, to train, to let people ride them, to perform, to even not kill themselves. So I'm like, okay, I always go into my work very curious, because I'm like a detective. I'm looking for clues. I'm looking to see how to unravel a storyline, figure out where it originated. And so I went in, and it was so cool because I saw where I went into the ancestral DNA, the memory, the karma, everything. I went in and looked, and it was so interesting because through the Akashic records, you can go as far back as you want in timelines. And I went back to Greece, to ancient Greece, like when it was like the Roman, the Greek empires. And I saw these horses as great war horses. And she told me, she confirmed that. She said these horses, and it was so interesting because right before she called me, I looked up horse symbolism. Horse is one of my totems. And they used to come to me all the time in dreams. And then they stopped. I used to have them all over the house. I had decorated in them. I mean, I loved them. I'm not somebody that rides horses, but I appreciate them. And so it was really interesting that this was the first official animal healing I was going to do on a horse. And I had looked it up right before she called me, and it was talking about how loyal horses were in battle. And when I told her that this horse, his people, his family had been, they'd been dedicated horses in wars long ago. And I told her, I said, he's got Pegasus star lineage, and war goes against the basic nature. What I got on the Pegasus is love, compassion, bringing that energy into the planet. And I told her, I said, the war, goes against his nature, but he and his other, family members that are of this race of beings, they were willing to do that in service to the humans that they were working with. And while I was working on him, clearing, he was doing horse body language. The trainer was there. All three of us were crying. Even the horse was crying. And the trainer was, she was talking about whenever I'd go to clear something off of him, he'd take real deep breaths. And, his ears, I don't know all the body language, but they did. And they were confirming what I was doing, him reacting to it with his body, his stance, the way he would hold his ears. I could hear, I don't know what you call it when a horse makes that muffled, that I can't even make it, that sound that they make like snorting. I could hear him, through the phone. Well, when I was telling them his Pegasus lineage, a horse several stalls down started kicking up a ruckus, and the owner, that was her horse, she said, he's saying, that's me too, that's me too. And that was his cousin. So the other horse, he got jealous. He wasn't in this session, and she kept telling him, we'll talk to her about doing you, next. But what I saw was, when you start getting into competitive horses, you're talking lots of money. And, these people have a huge investment in these creatures. And so what I saw, I called on the generations to see if there was any curses or anything, anything going on. And I saw that there was manipulation, and this was causing some kind of defect in the offspring. And that's what was provoking these babies to kill themselves. Now, I don't know the details of that. I just, that's what I know. That's all I know. And I saw that a curse had been put on this line. I saw very wealthy men going to someone that they could count on to conjure up this spell. And it was put on this line so that it wouldn't ever succeed. So it wouldn't be competition. So it wouldn't be a problem. And when I was pulling all that up, both of these horses, they had their thing going on. The woman was talking to them, and they were confirming what I said. And so, I worked all across his body looking for any impairments or anything like that. So when the whole thing was done, the other horse, the cousin horse, was like, I want to be next. I want to be next. And of course, I couldn't do him next because I needed to rest after all of that. So he wanted me to work on him as soon as possible. So I said I'd do a clearing on him tomorrow. But it was such a fascinating session, and I'm very excited to see what's going to come after this. But the horses knew they weren't just horses. They knew who they were. And I told the lady, I think she said she was going to get out of competition. And I told her, I said, as intuitive as you are, and you've got this link with these horses, I believe you guys are supposed to work together doing something spiritual, something for humanity, something for other people. And it was an incredible experience. And like I said, it was a pinnacle of my life and career, because that is something that I know for many, many years, and it just dropped in my lap. And an interesting side note, years ago, a psychic told me that a horse was looking for me. And I said, well, it's not like I'm going to go buy a horse and have a ranch and all of that, because horses are a lot of work and responsibility. And when I told this horse owner yesterday about this, she was like, yeah, she said, the cousin, the one that was kicking up a fuss, is the one that wanted you. He was looking for you. And, he let the other horse volunteer to go first, and he was going to check it out before he agreed to do it. And, he was sold, basically. So, it doesn't matter where you're at on this planet. When God wants to line you up with someone, he lines you up. And, there's really no excuse, because now we have so many ways to locate people. And if you're on the internet at all, which you obviously are, or you wouldn't be watching this, people can find you. If it's a uniting that God ordains, you can book it. It's coming together. And you don't have to worry, oh, like if you're sitting around and you're looking for the right person to work with, or you're looking for clients, or you're looking for a lover. People think they have to make these things happen, and you really don't. You just allow, you pray on it, you ask God, whatever is your will, please make it happen. And I sat in the chair in 2005 and talked to Abraham Hicks about this wish of mine to do these healings. And that's 2005. What is that, 16 years ago? I forgot about, I didn't forget about it, but it wasn't like I sat around hoping for it every day after that. And it just dropped into my lap out of nowhere. And now she's got 6 or 7 more horses for me to work with. And, I got to admit, horses were a lot easier to work with than humans are. Humans take a lot more energy. It takes I took an hour with the horse, and it takes me 2 hours with humans. The hardest part with humans is getting off the demons. And I think the reason it's not hard to get them off, it's hard to locate all of them. Because, there's people that come to me that have hundreds, if not thousands on them. I've had women show up with legions of demons behind them. And when I see that, it never originates in this lifetime. There is curses, there's lifetimes of magic and witchcraft. There's a lot of things going on that I have to go back in time and locate. And that's what takes so long. But the horse, he had a couple of little demons, like gargoyles around him, but they weren't really attached. They were more like pestering him. And he agreed to that when I saw him. Everything I went and saying, the owner was communicating with him, and he was confirming. And the other one, the cousin was like, yeah, you better schedule extra time for me because I got a lot more going on than that guy does. So he's tomorrow. And another just really magical thing about this is I made a decision. I travel all over the country. I don't put it in one location. And I let God guide me where I'm supposed to go next. And this week, I found a place in my favorite place right along the Pacific Ocean in Southern California. I love Huntington Beach. That's where my heart sings. And I found a place around that area where I'm going to go and spend maybe half the year. I don't know how long, but quite a while. And these horses are in California. I'm going to be able to go meet them. So, and I knew last week when I was making that decision that there was a reason to back, because I was spent last summer in California, and he's like, there's a reason that I want you back there. So this should be an interesting summer, and it should be interesting working with these horses. These two had quite a personality yesterday, so I'm sure I'm going to have fun with this. But yeah, I don't know where my work is going to branch next, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Never a dull moment. I'm always surprised. I'm always learning. Every session's totally different. There's new things to discover. Interestingly, this horse had a lot of like what I call two-dimensional beings. He had a lot of like fairy type beings. And, you want to think, oh, fairies, wonderful, wonderful, because I like fairies. But there's a lot of little sinister trickster dudes in the fairy realm. That's what he had around him. And it was basically like, the horse flies. It was just pestering him. And I had to clear those out too. So anyway, I just wanted to shoot a video on that because I thought it was a fun story. Till next time we meet again, this is Mystical Empress. You can find my work, mysticalempress.com. I've got a Facebook page. I got an Instagram. The Instagram's The Mystical Empress. I got a Pinterest, and you can go check that out. I try to keep fresh information on all of them, usually things that's going on in my work. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.